blessings and doing Jai Radha Madhav Kirtan. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivara Dari Jaya Girivara Dari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodananda Jaya Rajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Kiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Kiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Kiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana-chari Jaya Kunja Trihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana-chari Jaya Kunja Trihari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Jagannath Baldeswara Mai ki Jai, Radha Madhav ki Jai, Narasimha Bhagwan ki Jai, Panchatattva ki Jai, Shad Goswami ki Jai, Guru Parampara ki Jai, Gurudev ki Jai, Tagore Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta Prayasha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seviya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. By regular attendance in classes of the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, please, Mataji's. Just share the screen. So the title of this chapter is from 3rd canto 22nd chapter, Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And we will be discussing today verse number 15. Rishiruvacha Badham uvodu kamoham aprattacha tavatmaja avayoranuruposa adyo vaivahiko vidhi. Rishiruvacha Badham udvodu kamoham aprattacha tavatmaja avayoranuruposam adyo vaivahiko vidhi. Rishiruvacha Badham uvodhu kamoham aprattacha tavatmaja avayoranuruposam adyo vaivahiko vidhi. Any Prabhuji Mataji want to recite? Can go ahead.
Hare Krishna. May I?
Yes, Balaji Prabhu.
Rishiruvacha Padam Udvodu Kamoham Aprattacha Tavatmaja Avayor Anurobosa Adyo Vaivahiko Vitihi.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any Matajis? Any other Prabhus?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Rishiruvacha Badam udvodu kamoham aprattacha tavatmaja avayor anuruposa adyo vaivahiko vidhi.
Thank you, Mataji. So we'll lead word to word meaning, synonyms. Rishihi, the great sage Kardama, Uvacha said, Badham, very well. Udvodu kamaha, desirous to marry. Aham, I. Apratta, not promised to anyone else. Cha, and. Tava, your. Atmaja, daughter. Avayoho, of us too. Anurupaha, proper. Asau, this. Adyaha, first. Vaivahikaha, of marriage. Vidhi, ritualistic ceremony. Translation and purport by Divine Geshe Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please hear the translation and purport very carefully. The great sage replied, certainly I have a desire to marry, and your daughter has not yet married or given her word to anyone. Therefore, our marriage according to the Vedic system can take place. Purpose. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There were many considerations by Kardama Muni before accepting the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. Most important is that Devahuti had, first of all, fixed her mind on marrying him. She did not choose to have any other man as her husband. That is a great consideration because female psychology dictates that when a woman offers her heart to a man for the first time, it is very difficult for her to take it back. Also, she had not married before. She was a virgin girl. So all these considerations convinced Kardama Muni to accept her. Therefore, he said, yes, I shall accept your daughter under religious regulations of marriage. There are different kinds of marriages, of which the first-class marriage is held by inviting a suitable groom by a bridegroom for the daughter and giving her in charity, well-dressed and well-decorated with ornaments, along with a dowry according to the means of the father. There are other kinds of marriage, such as Gandharva marriage and marriage by love, which are also accepted as marriage. Even if one is forcibly kidnapped and later on accepted as a wife, that is also accepted. But Kardama Muni accepted the first-class way of marriage because the father was willing and the daughter was qualified. She had never offered her heart to anyone else. All these considerations made Kardama Muni agree to accept the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Gyan Prandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Subhadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Sri Vishaka Namsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Shabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhesya Kripasindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yanta Pravishya Mamavacha Mamam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Dharasvadam Kanyam Chahasta Charana Shravatogadin Prana Namo Bhagavate Shaitubhyam Namo Vishnu 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 Shrimati Maharashtra Swami Namo Vishnu 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 Swami Vishnu Vishnu. So Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome and thank you very much for joining. So today we'll continue the daily Bhagavatam sessions of different Prabhuji's and Mataji. They are giving these wonderful classes. So we are into the third canto, 22nd chapter now. So today's verse will be 15th verse, which just now we recited and saw the translation and purport. So the title of this chapter is Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devavati. See, Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he said, he was asked about the question of marriage. He said, marriage. So he said, according to Bhagavad Gita, married life is required. He said, marriage is not an option, it's required. He said, sex under marriage rules is permitted. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 7.11, Dharma Viruddho Kamo Asmi. Krishna says, Ahara Nidra Bhaya Maithuna. So these are Ahara Nidya Bhaya Maithuna is the bodily necessities. That is eating, sleeping, sex, and defense. So Ahara Nidya Bhaya Maithuna. So these four kinds of necessities are there in the animals also. Right? Animals also eat, sleep, have sex, and defend. Right? So the dog also eats, they also sleep, they have sex life and defense. Then what is the difference between the dog's life and man's life? The difference is the dog's life is not regulated under regular religious principles, whereas the man's life is regulated under religious principles. So under religious principle, if you arrange, then it is good. Otherwise, it is dog's life. That's all. Very simply gave this explanation. See, the chapter only 13th verse, the purport, Prabhupada says, the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that a father offers his daughter to a suitable boy. That is a very respectable marriage. Now, very important point Prabhupada makes, a boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectable position. Now, Swayambhu Manu, he was an emperor, right? He wanted to convince Kardama Muni, since he knew that the sage wanted to marry a suitable girl. So Kardama Muni, Emperor Swayambhu Manu said, I am offering just such a suitable wife. So do not reject the offer. Or else, he was telling to Kardama Muni, or else what will happen is, because you are in need of a wife, you will have to ask for such a wife from someone else who may not behave with you so well. In that case, your position will be humbled. Another feature of this incident is that Swayambhu Manu was the emperor, but he went to offer his qualified daughter to a poor Brahmana. See, Kardama Muni, he had no worldly possessions. He was a hermit, sage, living in the forest. But he was advanced in culture. Therefore, Prabhupada says, in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and quality are counted as prominent. So when one's offer is offered, culture and quality of the boy or the family are counted as prominent, not wealth or any other material consideration. See, now we lack the Brahminical culture. That's why Srila Prabhupada, he toiled and moiled for the whole 10 to 10, 11 years, right? And we have to be guided by Brahmanas. And if there is no Brahmana, we have the greatest Brahmana. That is, we should be guided by Srimad Bhagavatam. You come submissively to the pages of Bhagavatam, and your life will be completely changed for good. And this is guaranteed. And as soon as we come to the pages of Bhagavatam, the transcendental intelligence we develop. So till that time, we don't develop the transcendental intelligence. See, in Kali Yuga, because the whole atmosphere is surcharged with faithlessness, we cannot come to this literature. And with all the facilities available, no, we are in the temple or outside the temple, doesn't matter at all. We have to take some time to understand these things. And particularly this chapter, this Kardama Muni's chapter is regarding marriage. And this is the best chapter to be studied. Because knowingly and unknowingly, we are attracted for marriages, right? But it's not for the body that requires. And this is all Krishna's arrangement. Huh? See, as soon as it requires means, we have to follow the guidelines of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. It is very nicely said in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 64th verse. Ragad dvesha vimuktaistu vishayanindriyaischaran. It's a beautiful verse in 2nd chapter. Especially the last 18 verses of this chapter, 2nd chapter, 55th, 2.55 to 2.72. Are very beautiful. It should be thoroughly read. So this verse, first, the 2 lines are very beautiful. It's an ocean of knowledge, in these 2 lines. Raga Dvesha, attachment and detachment. Raga Dvesha means attachment and detachment. Now, Raga Dvesha means we should be free from attachment or detachment. In the sense that we should not unnecessarily boast, that I don't want to get married. That is artificial detachment. See, my Maharaj used to say, those who tell I don't want to marry, they very much want to marry. So these things, we are not coming from Vedic culture family, fortunately. And nobody asked us whether I want to get married. I was married, that's it. And it was the desire on the Vedic terms. Now here, Manu, that is Swayambhu Manu, the king, has his daughter Devahuti. Swayambhu Manu, he was not an American or Australian, right? Otherwise, his daughter would have been flamboyant. Oh, my mother is a king, And then she goes and mixes with so many selection committees, whatnot. So say, come together, select how this looks and that looks. See, nobody looks good. So this is not the way. Swayambhu Manu approached Kardama Muni, and that too, they heard from Narada Muni. And Devahuti also heard the good qualities of Kardama Muni. And she thought that maybe he is good for her. See, these girls are always looking, and that is their way. There's nothing wrong in it. But to proceed further on your own is a very difficult thing. And on your own, the whole civilization is completely topsy-turvy. That's why there are so many things. And we all being Prabhupada's followers, we should have some nice marriage bureau system, in our whole society at least. So that we have the data of brahmacharis, we have the data of the girls also. And some elderly persons should match these things. And under some guidance, the boy and the girl should be responsible to some man, some devotee, and then only the marriage continues. Otherwise, separations, divorce, right? So some elderly person should take. Manu himself took his daughter. Manu, the emperor, himself took his daughter and he approached Kardama Muni. It's not that Devahuti met someone and the love marriage, right? So in the beginning, Kardama Muni praised him, praised Emperor Swayambhu Manu. He was very happy to receive the king. And Kardama Muni had a desire, right? Kardama also had a desire, although he was a sage. He had prayed to the Lord please, I should not ask you, but this is my desire. And because when Krishna comes, we should not ask any material things. And Kadamuni knew that. But even then he says, please excuse me, Krishna, but I have a desire to marry. So this is how we have to find somebody, elderly. So these are matters of two families or two minds, Now, because we are going completely away from the Vedic culture, you have to learn from these things from the pages of Bhagavatam. That Kardama Muni wanted to marry. He performed the penance for 10,000 years in Satyuga. At least we perform penance for 10 days before the marriage. But what happens? Before marriage, we illicitly mix. So after marriage, problems. You can't come together because we are having all the problems stored. See, these problems are bound to come in the married life. But they should come after the marriage. And if after marriage there are problems, then the marriage problems cannot be worked out straight away. The end result has got to be fixed. There's a very nice example which Prabhupada always used to give. That 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So this equation that 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Now, many times the arithmetic teacher, she will ask the children that 2 plus something is equal to 5. So find out that something. So the child will deduct 2 from 5 and get 3. So that's a nice answer, correct? So this is a way to solve the marriage problems. Problems are bound to be there, but it should be after the marriage. And after marriage, the answer of the marriage is that you have to be together. The answer of the marriage is you have to be together. That's like the equation, right? So that is the answer of the marriage. You have to be together. So you fix that goal that we have to be together. And then you solve the problems in that light. It is not that I don't like you, I am also tired of you, tomorrow you go for divorce. No. Once you marry, that's it. This is Vedic culture. See, there are problems everywhere in human society. There are bound to be problems. But then they know that they are fixed up for lifetime. And somehow or the other, right? We have to sort out the whole thing. And this is Vedic culture. That before marriage, there is no illicit association. So what we see otherwise, 4 years they associate before marriage. What are they associating for 4 years? You may have meeting, you see the girl and the girl sees you for a day or two. 4 years. Then before marriage, you have all the problems. You know her inabilities and she knows your inabilities. Then, I am thinking. Then while going to the registered office to register marriage, they fight with each other. Somehow or the other, at the time of the signature, I agree, and finally she puts the pen again. So this is the obnoxious situation, right? Because we people are jumping into it. Instead, somebody should help you. That is how Swayambhu Munu approached Kardama Muni. And Kardama also accepted after he requested him. And he said, if the proposals are coming from the other side, we should not hesitate. So this is how marriages continue. And then after marriage also, it was not Hilton or Marriott Hotel was booked in Sydney or wherever for the honeymoon for Kardama Muni. No, there was no honeymoon for Kardama Muni. That is the main thing to be understood. See, after marriage also, he continued with his sadhana. And he was praying all the time. Because he wanted to be pure. And the progeny should be pure completely. See, this running out of sense gratification will not solve our problems. Day in and day out, we are discussing these things. But please remember that unless you come to the serious sadhana, the life will not be successful at all. See, progeny, the children, will be completely unwanted progeny. And if it is unwanted progeny, Bhagavad Gita says, then again there is trouble. See, nowadays, young children, they are completely averse to Krishna consciousness. They don't want to come to the temple at all. Because we have spoiled the whole thing. Mistake is on our part, not the children's part. And this is how, no? If you can follow through these pages and study how the marriages are organized, please remember the equation. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So if you fix the answer, then you work out your problems. Please, those who have problems, see, everybody has problems. To canvas that the end result of the marriage is that you have to be together. But I see a very difficult situation. No? After 3 or 4 children, people, they freak out. See, once the children are there, there shouldn't be any, even in the dream also, we should not talk of the separation. Because the children want father and mother both. Children are the most suffering party when the parents are separated. So parents have to bear that. They have to tolerate. Parents have to tolerate. Tolerate is the word. See, at the age of 25, whatever you have enjoyed, you cannot enjoy the same thing at the age of 50. So this is the main trouble with us. That we want the same sense gratification. And if there is any impediment, then we flare up and then divorce. Another is the result. So these things have to be learned from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So try to come to Bhagavatam. Come to the pages of Bhagavatam, try to take out your own notes for your own guide. See, suppose if you have any marriage problem, you take out the guide from here. If you have any other problem, you take out this from Bhagavatam. You see any devotee, you approach them and try to find out the solution. See, in Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 23rd chapter, 6th verse, the translation says, Kardama Muni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhu Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf. So the purport is, it is indicated here that one's body is very dear, yet Devavati was so faithful to her husband that not only did she serve him with great devotion, service and respect, but she did not even care for her own health. That is called selfless service. It appears that Devavati had no sense pleasure, even with her husband. Otherwise, she would not have deteriorated in health. Acting to facilitate Kardama Muni's engagement in spiritual elevation, she continuously assisted him, not caring for the bodily comfort. So it is the duty of a faithful and chaste wife to help her husband in every respect, especially when the husband is engaged in Krishna consciousness. In this case, the husband also amply rewarded the wife. See, the wife is not a Kama Patni, she's a Dharma Patni. This is very important for us to understand. Another, in the purport of 333.19, Prabhupada says, the ideal husband and wife relationship is very nicely described in this. Kardama Muni gave Devavati all sorts of comforts in his duty as a husband. But he was not at all attached to his wife. What happens? As soon as his son, who was Kardama Muni and Devavati's son? Kapil Deva. Kapil Deva was grown up. So as soon as Kapil Deva, her son, was grown up, Kardama Muni at once left all family connections. Similarly, Devavati was the daughter of a great king, Swayambhu Manu, and was qualified and beautiful. But she was completely dependent on the protection of her husband. See the point? According to Manu, women, the fair sex, should not have independence at any stage of life. See, in childhood, a woman must be under the protection of the parents. In youth, she must be under the protection of the husband. And in old age, she must be under the protection of the grown-up children. So Devavati demonstrated all these statements of Manu Samhita in her life. As a child, she was dependent on her father. Later, she was dependent on her husband, in spite of her opulence, and she was later on dependent on her son, Kapil Deva. See, in the purport of 9th canto, 10th chapter, 11th verse, Rupa says in the purport, a woman, however powerful she may be in the world, in the material world, must be given protection. As soon as she is unprotected, no, she will be exploited by Rakshasas like Ravana. See here in the word Vaidyeha Raja Duhitara indicate that before Mother Sita was married to Lord Ramchandra, she was protected by her father Vaidyeha Raja. And when she was married, she was protected by her husband. Therefore, the conclusion is that a woman should always be protected. According to the Vedic rule, there is no scope for a woman being independent. For a woman cannot protect herself independently. Rupa says in this purport of 9th canto, 10th chapter, 11th verse. See, there are different kinds of marriages, of which the first class marriage is held by inviting a suitable bridegroom for the daughter and giving her in charity, well dressed and well decorated with ornaments, along with dowry according to the means of the father. This which we saw in the purport of the current verse. See, in one of the lectures, Prabhupada says, without marriage, that is not a civilized life. Because in the animal society, there is no marriage. But in any form of civilized society, there is marriage. See, everyone has got sex appetite. Therefore, marriage is allowed by the Vedic system. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Dharma virodho kama osmi, kama lust, which is not against religious principles, that I am. Krishna says. So marriage is essential. The purport of 9th canto, 20th chapter, 15th verse, Prabhupada says, in the history of Aryan civilization, there have been many instances in which famous princesses have selected their husbands in open competitions. Now, for example, it was in such a competition that Sita Devi accepted Lord Ramchandra as her husband, and that Draupadi accepted Arjuna. So there are many such other instances. So marriage by agreement or selecting one's husband in an open competition is allowed. Bhuman says there are 8 kinds of marriages, of which marriage by agreement is called Gandharva marriage. Generally, parents select the husband or wife for their daughter or son. But Gandharva marriage takes place by personal selection. Still, although marriage by personal selection or agreement took place in the past, see, we find no such thing as divorce by disagreement in those days. So divorce by disagreement took place among low-class men, Shudras. But marriage by agreement was found even in the very highest classes, especially in the royal Kshatriya families. That's why Maharaj Dushmanta acceptance of Shukantula as his wife was sanctioned by Vedic culture. Again, in one of the lectures, Prabhupada says, according to Vedic civilization, there are 4 kinds of sinful activities. One sinful activity is illegitimate, illicit sex life. So according to Vedic civilization, without marriage, no sex life is allowed. Therefore, marriage is compulsory. In every human society, there is marriage. But according to Vedic civilization, marriage is compulsory samskara. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is said, Srishu Dushtashu Varshneya Jayate Varuna Shankara. In first chapter, 40th verse of Bhagavad Gita, it says, if the women are not married, then Varna Shankara population will increase. It is said, as soon as there is Varna Shankara population, the whole world will be in chaotic condition. See, we have to increase the quality of devotional service at every stage of life. My Guru Maharaj says that Bhakti protects the renunciation of sincere devotees like well-rounded fence. Actually, Bhakti protects Bhakti because Bhakti is absolute. Every time we change our ashrama or the order of life, we must increase the quality of our devotional service. Otherwise, the ashrama will consume us. See, there are prayers chanted by Kardama Muni before he entered into Grahastha ashram. See, just note the point. Prayers to be chanted by Kardama Muni is chanting prayers before he entered into the Grahastha ashram. And these prayers are to be chanted by those who are about to get married. And he prays in 3:21:14, where he says, your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane science. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. The Kardama Muni, after being married with Devoti, became extremely pleased with the service of his wife. That half the merits of his devotional service he gives to her. What did he do? Kardama Muni, he was married to Devoti. He was extremely pleased with the service his wife is giving him. And he was a great sadhu, no? He was giving so much devotional service. So half the merit of his devotional service he gives to her, 50%. So this is a benediction which the husband can give to the wife only if he is a devotee. See, if you do not have 100%, then what are you going to give? That means you have cheated your wife. That means you have not done the duty. The duty must be performed expertly. We can see the example of Swami Manu, who was genuinely renounced even while being a householder. See, I came across a beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse, emphasizing on the qualities of an ideal chaste wife like Sukanya. Chavana Muni had the temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. He was very irritable. And his wife Sukanya could understand his attitude. And under that circumstances, she treated him accordingly. In this verse, translation goes, Chavana Muni was very irritable. But since Sukanya had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully, according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. Srila Prabhupada reveals the secret of peaceful marital bliss. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband, his temperament, and please him. And this is victory for a woman. Each and every page of Bhagavatam discloses the secret of how to lead our life, how to deal with individuals. So in the Vedic culture, we have to still be rooted with more patience and tolerance. See, when two people of different mentalities come together, there is bound to be difference. Correct. But success lies in how we use our intelligence and cope up with the differences. The best way for a wife is to be really submissive to the husband. In whatever position she may be. See, just tolerate what a husband does. Keep on hearing to what he says. Finally, he will also notice how she behaves, and gradually there is going to be harmony between them. Krishna is watching us, and he will solve everything. See, nowadays, a working woman may think, I am independent. Why am I supposed to be low before the husband? But we forget the fact that Krishna has selected so and so person according to our karma. And we get whatever we deserve. Now, see, just understand, we can tolerate all that our bosses in our office say. We will be like a cat before the boss. But when it comes to husband, we can't tolerate anything from him. Why is this so? How great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she will be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. I'm not telling her, this is all coming from Bhagavatam. It's all coming in the Vedic literature. See, when the queens, just to understand, there's all examples. When queens of Lord Krishna, how many? 16,108 wives, right? They're all daughters of great kings. So when the queens of Lord Krishna treated themselves as his maid servants, what are we in front of them? So they teach us how to be submissive and at the same time treat husband lovingly. That's why Srila Prabhupada says that when wife becomes as irritable as the husband, the life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. In the modern day, the wife is never submissive. Therefore, home life is broken even by slight incidents. Therefore, Prabhupada emphasizes that this is not slave mentality of the wife. This is not slave mentality for the wife. Rather, it is the tactic by which a woman can conquer the heart of the husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. See, Prabhupada is giving the secret. See, once Satyabhama inquired from Draupadi how she keeps all her husbands so happy. And she revealed the secrets, including doing things according to the way the husband wants. What is it? Getting up early in the morning, eating after him, sleeping after him, touching his feet, treating him more carefully than the children, and many more. See, we won't be able to follow everything. We can try to do what we can within our limits. See, as stated in the scriptures, a woman should be dependent on her father before marriage, husband after marriage, and son afterwards. Early days, women were so submissive. That was their success secret. There is no existence of words like divorce in their dictionary. But now, since the tolerance has come down, with every slight arguments, it leads to separation. See, all the ego problems should be set aside. In the clashes of ego, we sometimes forget that our children are observing us. And with rifts going between the parents, the kids are torn apart, ruining their lives too. See, marriage is not just a certificate to lead our life with someone. Marriage is not just a certificate to lead our life with someone, but it's also about commitment. Both have to be committed first to Krishna and then to each other. Please understand this point. Both are to be committed first to Krishna and then to each other. Our life should have first place for Krishna. Including Krishna in all activities will make us more engaged towards him, and gradually we won't find time for silly arguments. My Guru Maharaj always stresses on doing our work expertly. It also includes dealing with our spouses expertly and wisely. See, with the increase in number of violence, crimes, suicides, shootouts in this world, in most of the cases, the root cause being the offenders being afflicted by mental depression. We can see how depression not only kills the individual, but also has a very negative impact on the people around. So how to handle such situations? If such situations arise in our life, how to deal with such living entities? So recently we heard about an incident wherein the mismatch of understandings and expectations between a couple led to repeated fights, leading to one of them becoming depressed and committing suicide. Now the greatest loss is for the kith and kin of the two. Usually, children look up to their parents for strength and inspiration. But if parents are going to give them such wrong examples, what will be their future? Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us as to how a wife should behave, how a husband should behave. That's why in 9.3 Shukadeva Goswami explains how Sukanya, who was the daughter of King Saryati, served her husband Chavana Muni, who was both old, he was old also and irritable. See, Chavana Muni was very irritable, but since Sukanya had gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully, according to his mood. Knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. So Prabhupada gives a wonderful explanation in the purport to this verse about how a wife should deal with her husband. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. That is a woman's victory for a woman. See, even in the dealings of Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were daughters of great kings, they placed themselves before the Lord as his maid servants. However great a woman may be, she must place herself before her husband this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. So when the wife becomes irritable as the husband, then the house also becomes disturbed, ultimately broken. So Maitreya Muni, while explaining how Devavati treated her husband, he says in 323.2, O Vidura, Devavati served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love, and with sweet words. I think this translation is very nice. Because even the husband also should be the same, right? So women now are in no way great compared to Sukanya, Devavati, or wives of Krishna. So remembering the insignificant position, and at least for the well-being of the children and peace of family, it is better not to give importance to the name and fame, but to take care of the family members according to their temperaments. Give them due respect, love and care, and serve them well, and most importantly, pray to Krishna. If you're not able to encourage someone, at least let us not be a source of their discouragement and displeasure. So the lessons in Bhagavatam are not just valid for people who lived millions of years long ago, but they hold true even for the current age, provided we understand its essence as given by our previous acharyas and try to practice the same in our life with faith according to time, place, and circumstances. You see, on the occasion of a wedding in Minneapolis, in US, my Guru Maharaj, Maharshi Goswami Maharaj, gave very valuable instructions for a newly married couple. And it applies to one and all. And I will try to share some of those few points from his instructions, which will be very useful for all of us. Number one, the marriage union is for the whole of lifetime. Marriage is one of the sanctified samskaras. So this union is for the whole of lifetime. There is no other option for this. See, Vedic culture always insists that before marriage we may think thousands of times. But once we are there, you're locked up for lifetime. The secret of this is wherever you go, the same thing is there. There is nothing new in this. With one partner, what is there, the second partner is the same is there. So he said, please avoid change of partners. Learn the secret of permanency from senior grahasthas and elders. Till the girls are married, they must be completely under the care of control of their parents. The first was marriage union is the whole of lifetime. Second is respecting the parents and elders. Parents always love their children, and nobody can replace the parents in this world. Till the parents are alive, please serve them to the best of your ability and forget the defects. See, we are not here to point out the defects of the elders. If you serve them nicely, they will shower their blessings, and by their blessings you will prosper. If you disrespect the parents, brahmanas, devotees, or the Lord himself, there is no chance you will be happy. Happiness fully depends on respecting all of them. Elders must be respected and taken shelter from. See, in the absence of elders, take the shelter of learned persons or try to find out the devotees. The third point is, have humble worship in your house. If there are no devotees, please start the program in your house. In the beginning, people may not come. So both the husband and wife together can read Srila Prabhupada's books. Have the association of the scriptures. Have humble worship in your house, and that is the best association. Don't be without puja. Always you must worship. Maybe we are engaged in our daily duties. We may not find time. But some time has to be reserved out of the 24 hours so that we can read something, discuss something, and try to follow in our lifetime. This is the best way to overcome the miserable conditions. The fourth point is function as two souls with one mind. Two souls with one mind. Please do not destroy the sanctity of the institution of marriage. The union can continue when the two souls function with one mind. No separate minds. Otherwise, every day 1,000 times we feel like divorcing. There are two minds. Save yourself from this and come to the Brahminical culture. Disagreements are bound to be there. But if the mind is one, with whom it will disagree? To disagree, we require two minds, right? So function as one mind. Give and take. Give and take. Anything happens. Do not get upset or angry at all. Anger should be completely avoided. And he said, put those days snow, that is snow on your head. And fan it again and with cold air. The mind is an enemy without the snow, Afghan snow, you remember those days? We put it there, very cool. Always remember the 3 C's. Cool, calm, and composed. 3 C's, cool, calm, and composed. To remain like this, please apply tilaka. Gopichandra, we are applying tilaka, right? To remain cool, calm, and composed, we have to apply tilaka. See, all Vedic habits have the health reason. Mind is the sense that controls all the other senses, and it's always working hard, and hence always gets warm. And as soon as it is warm, there must be a cooling effect. There are 2 ways to cool the mind. One is to get in touch with the Lord through the scriptures or chanting, and the other is one with water. See, when we freshen ourselves with the bath, it has a cooling effect and we feel fresh. Our tilak is a fan to cool our mind. Our tilak is a fan to cool our mind. If it is not possible to apply Gopi Chandan tilak, apply water tilak. Sometimes apply the sandalwood paste on the head, forehead. So these habits must be followed. And as soon as you follow, there are no miseries. The 5th point is, do not allow Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga cannot trouble you if you follow some of the points which I am going to describe now. Number 1, no quarrel. No quarrel means you are in Satyuga. You want to be Satyuga, right? When we read Satyuga, how it's wonderful, right? So no quarrel, one of that. Number 2, do not be lazy. The household life is referred as Grahastha Ashram. Ashrama is a place where sense gratification is absent. So get up early in the morning. Before sunrise, you must be up and everything becomes sublime. Third one is always be very clean. If you follow these, so what is no quarrel? Do not be lazy. Always be very clean. If you follow this, there is no Kali Yuga. See, nobody can misguide you because you have decided that you will get up early and you get in touch with the Supreme Lord. You will not be unlucky. And on top of it, you will not be disturbed. And if you are given to quarrels and laziness, you will always be disturbed. The result of disturbance is that your life will be short. So all these are symptoms of Kali Yuga. So no anger, no laziness, no quarrel should be the key words. What are the key words? No anger, no laziness, no quarrel. As soon as you follow this, you will be very happy. So you should be serious about these things. Another point is always eat fresh food. 6th point is always eat fresh food. See, everybody must take their lunch at 12 in the noon. That time is a peak time for hunger. And hunger travels with the sun. See, we have developed a culture that when we are hungry, we only have a bite a few sandwiches. And when the hunger is gone in the evening, we have the full plate of prasadam before us. So try to avoid this. Be full at 12 noon. Avoid cooked prasadam buying outside. Cook yourself, offer it to Krishna and consume immediately. So when we cook the food, within 3 hours we should consume according to the Ayurvedic principles. It is there in Bhagavad Gita also. Food must be very fresh. And this is a clue for good health. The 7th and final point is welcome the guests. See, the Vedic way is there. Is when we take prasadam, no, those days, we go out and shout to ask if anybody is hungry and ask them to come and take prasadam. Those were the days. Anyway, see, this is Grahastha Ashrama. We are not envious of others. He is not quarrelsome with anybody. So he doesn't think that the house belongs to him. Try to be generous, and that is Grahastha life. So what we should be? We should be wide-hearted and do whatever you can to further this culture so that everybody will be satisfied. Grahastha Ashrama, which is such a challenging ashrama for the sheer reason of a direct involvement with the material modes of nature. See, the basic etiquettes and requirements of Grahastha Ashrama. How to solve marital tensions. Let us discuss a few points and then we'll close. In Grahastha life, number 1, in Grahastha life, one word we should remember: adjust. Well, that's what we saw in that example of Prabhupada, right? He said in the school, the teacher in maths, she writes on the board 2 plus dash, something is equal to 5, right? Answer is 5. 5 is fixed. So we can change the 5, right? So students subtract 2 from 5 and write the answer as 3. So in the same way, in Grahastha Ashram also, we should fix the result. That is to be together. Then whatever problems or misunderstandings that come, we should solve them by keeping in mind the end result, to be together. So the best way we can be together is to always try to adjust and tolerate each other patiently. Best way we can be together is to always try to adjust and tolerate each other patiently. Second point is, as long as the child is there in the house, you should see only harmony between the parents. Any quarrel in front of the child will only be detrimental to the child's future. As parents, we should remember this before we fight. Can we remember this? Before we fight, we should remember this. That's why we should either chant loudly Hare Krishna Mantra, or should say cool, calm, compose, peace, peace, peace. We should remember all these words. Third is, don't brood over the past. See, our past karmas are like short arrows. Once the arrow is shot, we cannot do anything. Better would be to think what we can do for the present and future and start acting accordingly. The fourth point is, one rule we should always follow. Whenever there is disagreement, at least one party should keep quiet. Is it possible? Because for fighting, we need 2 parties. Correct? So this is a rule to follow. Whenever there is disagreement, at least one party should keep quiet. Now you'll say, no, let her keep quiet, or she say, let him keep quiet. Again, there will be disagreement. So for fighting, we need two parties. That's why when you are angry, keep your mouth shut. Keep quiet. Number 5, there should be free flow of air in our house. As soon as there is no free air and good space in our home, there is disruptions. See, the space is also energy of Krishna. So if there is not enough space, there is quarrel. But to increase the space, we need not get a bigger spacious house. The need is for spiritual space. And to increase the spiritual space, we need constant spiritual vibration of Maha Mantra, Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavatam in our homes. So by increasing the spiritual vibration, we can increase the transcendental space within ourselves, as well as in our homes. This will lead to sanity around us. So sustaining a peaceful grahastha ashrama, for us who are suffering from the disease of quarrel and hypocrisy in this age of Kali, is very difficult. So worst come worst, we should remember the shloka. First canto, second chapter, 13th verse, 1, 2, 13. Ata pumbirduja shreshta varnashrama vibhagasha sunishtistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Oh, best among the twice born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of Godhead. You should please the personality of Godhead. So whenever we quarrel, we can remind ourselves of this shloka and think, is Krishna going to be pleased with our fighting with our spouse? This was 1 to 13. So whenever we quarrel, we can remind ourselves of this shloka and think, is Krishna going to be pleased with our fighting with our spouse? This will help us stay a bit sane and do whatever it takes to please the Supreme Lord. And we say, as we know, he is most pleased when we serve him together. Krishna is very pleased when we serve him as husband and wife together. This we should understand. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Vancha Kalpatarupich Kripa Sandhuvayocha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord. And please excuse me if anything I said, everything I just followed the Bhagavatam and Prabhupada and what are the scriptures are telling. So it is in one of the lectures, one of the Maharaj, somebody he told, I think in the media, one journalist was asking, why only few people are coming when you are all speaking, whereas we see about so many other things. He said, what we speak is that we don't speak what you want. We speak what you must hear. It's not what you want to hear. It's what you must hear. That's why very people will come. Otherwise, people want to take something and this is good for me, this is not good for me, leave it. No, this is Shastras. And it is perfect. All the prediction, everything is giving perfect. And you have got the solution. Bhagavatam is the solution for all your questions. His answers are given in Bhagavatam. So follow Bhagavatam as it is, definitely your life will be peaceful. Any relationship, not only my husband and wife, any relationship will be very beautiful. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. If any questions or anything to share and takeaways, please let me know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Jyoti Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have a very practical question.
Yes, Mataji.
I completely trust whatever you explained today, and I believe that we should follow the Vedic way of marriage and be submissive and all of that. I totally agree with that. Though I work and all of that, I do not believe that I'm independent. Having said that, I have a circle of people, especially women, and I have seen a few of them going through a lot of mental agony, stressful life and emotional torture and domestic violence, especially from their spouses. And sometimes they speak to me, they share their experiences, and I am not willing to share any suggestions with which I do not know, because I may not be competent in scriptural knowledge, so I don't want to give any advice or suggestion to them. So do you still think they should still try to work it out, because men get really angry and their temperaments are difficult to handle. They become violent. And I think a woman, for a woman, anything she should be able to handle and be submissive and try to use all the tips that you have given. But when a man gets a little violent, that may be the epitome of, whatever she can patiently handle. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, Murali. This question, of course, I expected this question. So, but as you say, as I was telling the last, no, this is a Kali Yuga, right?
Yes.
And if you want to become in Satyuga, though all the symptoms we should avoid, like being lazy, and so many other things. And because of that, we are disturbed and everything. Just read out the purport of Rupa, the 16th, the next verse, actually, is coming in the next verse. Just before I speak, see, where Kardama Muni wanted to marry Devati in the recognized manner of marriage prescribed in the scriptures. So as stated in the Vedic scriptures, the first class process is to call the bridegroom to the home of the bride and hand her to him in charity with a dowry of necessary ornaments, gold, furniture, and other household paraphernalia. This form of marriage is prevalent among higher class Hindus even today and is declared in the Shastras to confer great religious merit on the bride's father. To give a daughter in charity to a suitable son-in-law is considered to be one of the pious activities of a householder. There are 8 forms of marriage mentioned in the scriptures, Manusmriti. But only one process of marriage, Brahma or Rajasika marriage, is now current. Other kinds of marriage by love, by exchange of garlands, or by kidnapping the bride are now forbidden in this Kali age. Formerly, at that pressure, Kshatriyas would kidnap a princess from another royal house, and there would be a fight between the Kshatriyas and the girl's family. Then, if the kidnapper was the winner, the girl would be offered to him for marriage. See, even Krishna married Rukmini by that process, and some of his sons and grandsons also married by kidnapping. Now, Krishna's grandsons kidnapped Duryodhana's daughter, which caused a fight between the Kuru and the Yadu families. Afterward, an adjustment was made by the elderly members of the Kuru family. See, Prabhupada says such marriages were current in bygone ages. But at the present moment, they are impossible because the strict principles of Kshatriya life have practically been abolished. Now, since India has become dependent on foreign countries, now here, India has become dependent on foreign countries, the particular influences of social orders have been lost. Now, according to the scriptures, everyone is a Shudra. The so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas have forgotten their traditional activities. And in the absence of these activities, they are called Shudras. It is said in the scriptures, Kalo Shudras Sambhavaha. In the age of Kali, everyone will be like a Shudras. The traditional social customs are not followed in this age, although formally they were followed strictly. So, Mataji, this is very powerful statement. So, since we are the 4 Varna and Ashrama, now nobody is following. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, right? Brahmacharya, Brahmajashram, Virasashram, Vanaprasashram. Krishna had given all this. Nobody is following. Now everybody know there is hardly any Brahmanas by the name of Brahmana. And what is a Brahmana? You should be controlled, peaceful. So you should be given knowledge. And Kshatriyas, they took knowledge from Brahmanas. They ruled the country accordingly. See, everything comes from that. So the Brahmanical culture has to be there. And this is not there in this Kali Yuga. That's why all these difficulties are coming up. So your question is, should we continue and not continue? Mataji, please don't put me in this is not a counsel. Of course, there is a lot of counseling, especially in the that's why in the beginning only I was telling the marriage should be based on the elders' guidance. Otherwise, nowadays, they meet each other to understand each other before getting married. Okay, few days, 4-5 days is fine. But some people go and trying to know each other 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By that time, they will know each other's what is bad quality, what is weakness, what is strength and all. And after getting married, then they'll start fighting. This is it. So this fighting and all, of course, karmas are also there. So now the thing is, each family is different mentality, right? Different people have different mentalities. So the solution has to be found out within themselves, to an elderly person, to maybe a Maharaj or any senior devotees. Through them, they can get counseled and try to do that as far as possible. Otherwise, then of course, then we have, that's it is the influence of the social or the Western influence is very much there, and also the information and media nowadays. See, in the villages and all, nobody knew about these things, right? Especially in the villages. Now, because of the TV and all the serials, you can see the serials. Basically, it's basically all fighting. So many serials are coming, only fighting with the homes. If you go, that naturally, it will affect your brains. No, this can also happen. People who don't know about this also they start follow. This so media and influence of all these things are really creating havoc in each family's life. So each person knowledgeable, they have learned, they are educated, they should know how to deal with these things. Of course, if it comes to real, it will take a association of a senior person, Maharaj or somebody, then it will be from them only it can be possible, Mataji. So what a solution we should take as far as Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita, as far as possible. Thank you, Mataji. Whatever is possible within my capacity, I was able to. So I'm not a very great person. So
Thank
the
you,
Vedic
Prabhuji.
system. Or thank you. If our parents take marriage, we married. We didn't go to love marriage, right? So by Krishna's mercy is going on.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the insights.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else wants to share anything?
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Ultimately,
Mataji.
it is karma theory. That's all.
Yes,
Right?
Mataji?
Ultimately,
Yes.
it is karma theory. Accept and live.
No, not karma really, Mataji. Karma is there. But Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam. Surrender to me, I will take care of all the sins. Karma means all sins are there. We are for suffering for those sins, are taking good things also. But if we surrender to Krishna, he can change the destiny. It's up to him. So we are not surrendering also. We want to enjoy ourselves. Just follow that mathematical formula. Correct? Very useful. 2 plus something is equal to 5. So you know the end result is 5. So the end result of marriage is to be together. So once you know that end result is to be together, whatever comes in between, it will sort out. You have a goal, no? If you have a goal to go to, so for example, from Bangalore, you want to go to Chennai. So goal is to go to the airport. So when you know to go to the airport, you know what time you should be there. 2 hours before you should be there. Airport. You have to take only 15 kilos. All these things, you know, you have to arrange everything accordingly. Then you go to the airport. So if you know you have to be together, whatever has to be done to always be together, you will do it. Think about it. Introspect yourselves. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhuji. Ultimately, we have to put up with that, with the by surrendering to God, offering to God. That's
Correct,
the.
Mataji. You should not think that is put it with it. Of course, the tolerance and adjustment and commitment, these are all, of course, very easy to say. In a particular certain circumstances, people are there, it's not so easy. But we should surrender to Krishna chanting and recitation of verses. This will have the sound vibration of transcendental sound vibration will have its effect. It is guaranteed. But we have to follow it with sincerity and faith.
Correct. Time is the healer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yes, anybody else?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class today.
Thank you, Guru. Hare Krishna. It's a very difficult class. Prabhu put me into this situation. So when I was reading, I was thinking, how can I take this class? Anyway, by Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada guided me. Maharaj guided me. So based on that, I just followed. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, the concept of adjustment and the 3 C's was very nice. The 3 C's.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Cool, calm, and composed. Correct. Yes. So, if anybody else, anything else can share, or otherwise we can close here. Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu Matais, for hearing me patiently. Please excuse me if anything, forgive me if I told anything hurting you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A wonderful session. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Radhakanta Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
But Prabhuji, we have all these formulas, but they should be applied for both of them. If only one applies, then there is no, I mean.
That's what, yeah. No, that's what the ego should not come in between. No,
Yeah.
so the Shastra says only women should follow. It is for both, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is Kali Yuga. Should according to the practice, it should be practical. Not be like just as it is, we cannot follow. Just like Prabhupada has told, Maharaj told, they are coming from Shastra. Prabhupada says in the purport only, no? In this current generation, it is not possible what they did in those days. Like kidnapping and taking a wife and all those competitions, all this, it's not possible. Within the parameters, we can do. But you take the association of devotees and seniors, Maharaj, take their guidance. And your parents also, definitely. That's what are the 5-6 points which I gave in the end. It's very useful for us to follow. Thank
Like
you,
as Jyoti Mataji said, the male counterpart want to dominate. So that I think has to change in our society.
True.
That can only
It should be
happen
Krishna.
if people become Krishna conscious, I think.
Absolutely, Prabhu. That's what preaching is very important. Correct. The book distribution, Harinam, everything, calling people to a program. See, we see in most of the programs, Matajis are there, right? Prabhus are very less. Right? So that's why children program is very important. That's why Gita Gyan and all for children's program is very important. So when the children's learn, automatically parents have to come.
Okay.
By children's influence, they will get Krishna conscious.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anukul Prabhu for giving this opportunity to give Bhagavatam classes and other things. ISKCON Seshadripuram. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Vanchakalpiturubhischa. Kripa sindhu bhaiva patidanam pavanam. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Balaji Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.